Hello everybody. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today. And today's topic, I'd like to talk a little bit about how bushcraft is prepping. A lot of people on my channel, if you notice and you've been with me for a while, you'll know that some of my earlier videos, I've done a series on preparing for an economic collapse. Well, I don't know everybody's situation, and I know that there's a lot of people from other countries that watch my videos. Economic collapse may not be, something that you have to really worry about in your situation. But here in the United States, our economy is doing pretty bad. Thus, the reason for the economic collapse prep video. And first off, I'd like to say that with this devastating earthquake and tsunami and possibility of nuclear meltdown and volcanoes erupting all in Japan all at the same time, to me, bushcraft is prepping. Bushcraft will pick up when all other preps have failed, and I'd like to urge everybody to have at least a month's supply of food set aside and at least a month's supply of water set aside. There's a lot of people right now in Japan, that were just affected by the earthquake by itself, because the tsunami, from what I understand, swept inland about 6 miles to 7 miles, but the people farther inland that haven't been affected by the tsunami, there's a lot of people right now that have no food, no water, no homes. Their homes have been destroyed, and you don't necessarily have to prepare for an economic collapse. Preparing essentially is preparing for any type of emergency situation, whether it be earthquake, tsunami, economic collapse, or whatever, any type of natural disaster. It could be a tornado, a hurricane, or whatever. Right now, they say that there's millions of people right now that have no water, millions of people that have no food, and it hit them out of the blue. Nobody was expecting anything like that. It just happened, and that just goes to show you how quickly and easily things can go wrong. I know a lot of people look down on the prepper communities, thinking, we're crazy. Why would you want to, stock up food and water and all this and that? Well, for a lot of these people inland in Japan, if they have the prepper mindset, then some of them people would already have a stockpile of food and stockpile of water to help them survive until help can reach them. That it don't necessarily have to be prepping for an economic collapse. Natural disasters occur everywhere. And right now, Japan is extremely devastating. And I'd like to say that our thoughts and our prayers are with them, or go out to them. Because there's a lot of people right now that they've lost their family, they've lost their homes, they've lost everything that they've had. And bushcraft to me is prepping yourself in case all other preparations fail. If you're in a situation where you've got no food, you've got no water, you've got no home, you've got no shelter, and you're in a place where help can't reach you, or you can't get help from the outside, you're going to have to depend on yourself. You're going to have to depend on the skills that you've acquired, the things that you've learned, the preparations that you've made. bushcraft is prepping yourself mentally. That's why I kind of veered a little bit from just strictly prepping videos to a little bit of bushcraft, because that way there I know that, you know, if all my preparations fail, you know, and I run out of food, I run out of water, you know, I know I'll be able to try to help myself and my family, you know, survive whatever, you know, may happen, whether it be economic collapse or natural disaster. Like I said, things right now in Japan are looking pretty bad. First, they had a 8.9 magnitude earthquake, and then 9 minutes later, they had a tsunami. Some places they said it was like 33 to 40 foot wall of water. It's completely devastated them. And right now, from what I've understand, there's a possibility for 3 different nuclear plants facing a meltdown situation. And also, at the same time, from what I understand, there's a volcano in the southern part of Japan. Now they say that it erupts all the time, but it's just like little bursts and hiccups. And after this 8.9 earthquake, they've had the biggest eruption in 52 years. The biggest eruption that they've seen in 52 years for that volcano. They said it spewed ash and lava and rock 2.5 miles into the sky. So not only are they facing nuclear meltdown, facing the devastation from the tsunami, the devastation from the earthquake, devastation from the volcano. I mean, that goes to show you, everybody, you know, that anything can happen at any time. And that's why I try to be prepared. That's why I have the prepper mindset. Like I said, I really urge everybody, even if you're not in the United States, I've got some friends that watch my videos in other countries. You know, you may not be facing the same type of economic situations that we are here, but disaster can strike at any time. I'd like to, again, encourage people to sit down and think, you know, hey, you know, and realize, you know, that it can happen. You know, and Japan is a perfect example. It happened. You know, they weren't fully prepared for the amount of devastation that they've got. And for everybody else in other countries, even here in the United States, I really encourage you to stock up, like I said, at least on a month's supply of water, a month's supply of food. You'll need, you know, basic necessities to help you survive in a disaster situation. And for anybody, you know, that's kind of new to the prepper mentality, you can go ahead and look through some of my older videos. I've done some economic collapse prep videos, different things, you know, that you would need to consider to help you survive in a situation like that. Now I know obviously that, you know, the people that lived on the coastline in Japan, you know, whose homes got swept away, lost everything, you know, their preparations aren't going to do them any good. But if they know a little bit of bushcraft and you're in a situation where you've lost everything, bushcraft can help you survive, or at least help you survive until you can get help, or help reaches you, or whatever the case may be. So, I'd like to thank y'all for joining me today. Like I said, my heart and my prayers go out to all those people that's been devastated in Japan, and I'd encourage everybody to make necessary preparations. This is why I think that bushcraft is also prepping. You're prepping to survive. Thank you. I'd just like to remind everybody to cherish your friends and your family, because what you have today might not be here tomorrow. Y'all take care, be safe, and God bless. Thanks for watching.